everybody. Welcome to the Safety Net, Brookline Interactive Group's cable TV show dedicated to domestic violence. And during this time of COVID and hopefully soon post-COVID, we have expanded the number of issues that we are addressing. So I hope you enjoy the show. Today, we are most lucky to have Anne, and Anne, correct me on the pronunciation of your last name, Thessen or Thessen?
Thessen is perfect.
Okay. Anne Thessen. And Anne with an E, because that was how my mother spelled it, so I love that, is Vice President of the Cat Connection. So Anne, I'm going to jump right to you. What is the Cat Connection?
The Cat Connection is a cat rescue organization. We're based in Waltham, and we've been around for about 20 years now. We started out as a grassroots network of foster homes by two women who were out in the neighborhoods trapping cats and getting them to the vet and finding them homes. 2020 was our 20th anniversary of being around, and we are very proud and excited of that.
And are they feral cats or are they bred cats?
Some of them are feral, yes. So the cats that are feral are trapped and spayed or neutered and given medical care, and then released back into their colony as community cats. And at that point, we have colony feeders who go out and feed them, water them daily. If they notice that they've been injured, we'll go back out and trap them and get them vet care. We also have little shelters that we make for them, so to help keep them out of the sun or out of the weather. If the cat is not feral, or if it is just a little shy and can be tamed, we bring it into a foster home, and we work with the cat to get it used to living in a home environment again, and then we get it adopted into a forever home.
You know, I'm sure you're aware that animals are now included on restraining orders in domestic violence, because sometimes the abuser will abuse the pet to get to the survivor or the victim or the children. And there are very few shelters that really take families with animals. We're working on that. I'm wondering if you have seen any cats from domestic violence situations that come to your shelter.
We have not, since I have been involved. There have been a few instances of people who have become homeless. Now, whether or not they've become homeless because of a domestic violence situation, I don't know. And a lot of times those things are very private and confidential, and we may not find out anyway. But before my time, I can't comment on whether or not we've had that happen before I started working with the Cat Connection. But we have had a few people, a few of our board members, past board members, work with local shelters to help them get the facilities that they need so that they can take pets along with people.
Great. How did you get involved with the Cat Connection? Because that's not, you also specialize in data science, in biology and biomedicine. This is quite a leap. Or
right.
Maybe not.
This is, well, it's quite a bit different, yes. I moved to Waltham, oh boy, probably almost 10 years ago now. And when I came here, I needed to find another job, and I was having a little trouble. So I decided that I was going to get involved in some volunteer work. And I knew that I wanted to work with animal rescue. And so I just got on Google and did an internet search, and the Cat Connection was the only animal rescue organization that was based in Waltham, which was where I was living.
And it's an all volunteer organization, even today?
It's all volunteer. I actually started out scooping cat litter, and now I'm on the board. We actually just got our first and only employee, Stephanie Yema, and she's been with us for about a year now, a little over a year. But yes, it has been an all volunteer organization, with the exception of a few contract experts that we've had over the years. But yes, we've had nothing but volunteers up until very recently.
And Stephanie's role is?
Stephanie is our new shelter director, because we are transitioning
Congratulations.
a network of foster homes to actually having a permanent shelter.
Which is going to be located where?
The new shelter is at 167 Chestnut Hill Avenue in Brighton. So we're very excited.
What part of Chestnut Hill is that? Is that near Cleveland Circle, or is it farther down towards Brighton Center? Is it near the court? I'm not sure exactly where it is.
It's near the firehouse. I don't know if that helps.
Oh.
I'm very
Yes,
geographically
it does. It's sort of, yes, it's about halfway between Brighton Center and the turn to go to Cleveland Circle. You offer financial assistance to help pet parents with cat food, medications. Where do you get your funding to be able to do that? Donations, grants?
Well, we mostly rely on private donations, and we have a fantastic group of supporters who are very, very generous. We've also gotten grants from several different foundations, private foundations and granting organizations.
Mhm.
The Jones Partnership is one that supports us a lot, and specifically it supports our Cat Naps program, which is our spay and neuter program for low-income pet owners. We also have some anonymous foundations that help us regularly, but would rather remain anonymous. And we've gotten funding from Athletes for Animals. We also get support from lots of local businesses as well.
And have you seen requests for this kind of assistance, for medication, for spay, for food? Has it gone up during COVID?
It has gone up. Whether or not it is directly caused by the pandemic, we don't really have the data to prove one way or the other, but it's definitely gone up, and we have a waiting list for our Cat Naps program. We have also started participating in the Pet Food Task Force, which is a collaboration between lots of different animal rescue organizations to help provide pet food alongside human food at different events and at different food pantries. So that's how we're trying to.
I would assume that, I'm sorry. I would assume that there's been an uptick in adoption requests, but I'm wondering, has there been an uptick in releasing cats to you, bringing cats to you, saying, I can't take care of this cat during COVID, even with assistance? Is it both sides? People want cats and people are releasing cats.
So we've definitely seen an increase in the number of adoption applications that we've received. Surrenders may have gone up a little bit, but not as much as the adoption requests. We actually, for the first time ever, we had foster homes that wanted to foster cats and no cats to give them, because we would bring them in and they would go right out the door. Also, the way that we get cats is from word of mouth. And so someone is outside, they see a cat in need and they report it to us. Because of the pandemic, people weren't going outside as much, so they weren't seeing cats, and our intake was not as high as normal.
So now that more of us are vaccinated, and I'm going to make a plug, everybody should get vaccinated if they can possibly do so. I know it's been difficult. do you think that you'll see more cats? You'll go out and you'll find more cats to rescue?
That could very well
In
be
other
true,
words,
yes.
yeah,
It would
okay.
not
I think
surprise.
that's really. So tell us about April 5th. Is there going to be a big celebration? Look at the smile on Chestnut Hill Ave that we should all to, and what time should we be there?
Well, we're all very excited about our opening on April 5th, but because of the pandemic, it's going to have to be a soft virtual opening. We're not going to be able to have a big party until after all the pandemic restrictions are lifted and many more people get vaccinated. So on the 5th, we've been working with different schools in the Waltham and Brighton area to celebrate our opening by having an art fair where students can make some piece of artwork to show how pets are important to us and to our daily lives. And then we can display that artwork at the shelter in a way that people can see as they're walking by or as they're driving by. And of course, we will have a virtual show and tell around the shelter where our shelter director will walk around with the camera so everyone can see all the wonderful work that they've supported. But unfortunately, the big party is going to have to wait, but we will have one.
And you will let us know, right?
Of course.
About
of course.
the virtual, there'll be a link. I have a question.
Yes.
Do you have a veterinarian on staff, or is there somebody you refer cats to? I mean, who takes care of the medical issues of cats? If I had a cat, could I go to the Cat Connections and listen, my cat's not feeling well, can you help me?
So we have a medical director who coordinates all of the medical care for the cats that are within the charge of the Cat Connection, but we do not have a vet on staff. We partner with local veterinarians that actually give us a discounted rate because we are a rescue. Once we open, we are planning to have make arrangements with a traveling vet or a vet that can do house calls, so to speak, so that we can bring vets on premises to do routine things like giving shots and giving physicals. Any sort of major medical procedures would of course be done in a vet's office. But we do not employ veterinarians directly.
How many cats do you project you'll be dealing with per year? How many adoptions and how many surrenders? Do you have any idea?
Well, we're hoping that we can get, when we're really humming along, we're hoping we can get up to 600, 700 adoptions a year. How long it's going to take us to get there, I'm not entirely sure. As it is, we do around 100 adoptions a year. So I think that if we can double that this year, I'll be happy. But we'll see. That's sort of our, in 5 years, I would like to be at to 600, 700 cats a year.
And how do you hear about cats again? It's word of mouth?
Word of mouth, largely. Social media, someone reports a cat. Yeah.
Okay. And when is there a fee to adopt?
There is, yes. And the fee is different based on the age of the cat. So the kittens are, yeah, so the kittens are the most expensive. And that's partially because there's a ton of vetting involved in a kitten. Also because in theory, you're getting a pet for longer, that's going to last you for longer. So there's a little bit of the economics of supply and demand in there as well. And as the cat gets older, we charge less. So a senior cat that may be with you only for a few years, we would charge less, or say maybe you would be taking on a larger annual medical expense with an older cat. So that's sort of the logic behind why we change the rate based on the cat's age.
And do you find that the fee is an impediment to adoption? What if somebody really wants a little kitty and does not have the money, is there a sliding scale? I mean, could I beg?
We haven't really gotten to that in that situation before, but also part of the logic behind the adoption fee is that if you can't afford the adoption fee, then you probably can't afford the cat.
Yeah, the cat, right, okay. Yeah, I understand that. The shelter's really designed, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No,
I'm sorry to
no,
interrupt.
we do understand that sometimes people have things that happen in their lives where their economic situation changes abruptly. And in those cases, we are here to try to help through some of our community programs that we already talked about, like the medical assist program, the catnaps program, and the pet food task force. But we can't, we're not in the business of trying to give cats to people who can't take care of them long term from the beginning.
The shelter is really designed for the cat's health, well-being, happiness versus people's. What does that mean? And what are some of the special features in the shelter that make it different, say, than other cat shelters? If there are other cat shelters, I don't know, because I have a dog.
Okay, that's okay. We like you anyway.
I have transparency, I have a dog.
So the shelter is designed based on fear-free principles. So that means that there are different aspects of how the shelter is designed to try to keep the cats calm and worry-free and not stressed out. And I think one of the most obvious examples of this design favoring cats over humans is that if you walk by our facility right now, you'll notice that all the windows are frosted over. And we know that people would love to come by and look in and see the cats doing all their adorable little kitty things. But that's really kind of uncomfortable for the cats to be stared at and have people tap on the glass and
Do they know?
emotion.
Do they know? And do they know that they're being stared at?
Oh yes, well they can see out the glass and they'll see all the people jumping around and tapping the glass and watching them. That can be very uncomfortable for us and for cats, right? So the window's frosted over so that the cats can have their peace and privacy, so to speak. And also, if you go into the shelter, there's really not a lot of human space there. We've got an area with a table so that we can sit down and go over adoption paperwork with people. But there's not really any space for people to sit. There's not a lot of space for people to mingle or walk around. It's really, there's not a lot of socializing space for people. So it really is made for the cats.
And what happens at night with the cats in the shelter? Is there a camera system that you can see them? Or is there a night watch person? Or do you just leave the cats and they go to sleep and they wake up when you come in the morning?
Well, we definitely have a camera system and an alarm system, and we have a shelter director. That's part of the reason we had to finally hire an employee, so that we could have someone who could be on the hook for if the alarm system goes off during the night, someone who can go down and who is available for that.
And this has been terrific. Give us the address again on Chestnut Hill Ave. I promise we won't come and peer through the frost on the windows, but we just might.
It's at 167 Chestnut Hill Avenue in Brighton.
And the opening day virtually is April 5th.
Our virtual opening is April 5th. Yeah, so we're coming up on it.
You sure are. And if somebody wants to adopt a cat, do they contact you? Do they contact the director? Is there any contact information you'd like us to run at the bottom of this show?
Yes.
If you can get it to
the best thing to do is to go to our website, thecatconnection.org. At that website, you can fill out an application to adopt a cat or to volunteer or to even foster a cat. We also have a phone number at the bottom of the webpage where you can leave a message and speak with our shelter director.
And the phone number is?
The
Do you know
phone
it?
number is, I do not know it off the top of my head.
That's okay, but maybe we can run it.
And you can also send an email to info@thecatconnection.org. The phone number is
And-
781-899-4610. You can also sign up to join our mailing list and receive our newsletter, and you can also make a donation on the website, thecatconnection.org.
Thecatconnection.org. One last question. Do you do a background check on adopters, on the family? Say, if I wanted to adopt a cat, would you do some kind of a check on me to make sure that I could take care of the cat and that I'm really doing it for the right reasons?
So we do ask adopters or potential adopters for references, and we ask for their current or past vets so that we can find out what kind of care the person had provided to previous pets. We also have access to lists of people who, we call it the do not adopt list. So if you've been mistreated a pet in the past, you might find yourself on that list.
Do you have any?
We don't do like an FBI background check. We don't do that.
And you don't have any way of really knowing if it's an abusive home or if there's been any kind of domestic violence or child abuse where the cat is going, unless you just get a sense?
We do have, so before the pandemic, we did home visits before adoption. And I recognize that you can't always tell what's going on in that way, but we have had those sorts of suspicions.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So we don't get to do home visits much anymore, though.
But what would you do if you did have a strong suspicion that maybe the cat will be abused, or maybe there's abuse in the home? You see that the door's kicked in or something just doesn't look right, the house is a mess. Would you not allow the cat to be adopted, and how would you handle that?
Typically, we just would not allow the cat to be adopted. We are under no legal obligation to give someone a cat. So if you get a bad feeling, we do not have to provide a person with a cat.
Do you have any, you have a contract, right, that the adopter signs? Or do you have policies and procedures that they will take care of the cat, they'll proper medical care? Is there anything? And that if they can't, they'll return it to you?
Yes, there is a contract, and it stipulates all the requirements that we have for how to take care of the cat properly. And we have in there that if you don't abide by these requirements, then we are going to take the cat back. And that's just the way it is.
Well, that's true with all.
Yeah. And so, but that doesn't get signed typically until after the home visit. Sometimes we'll also do a foster to adopt or a trial adoption before it's finalized.
Right. Anne Thessen of the Cat Connection to be opening on April 5th. Thank you so much. This has been a very different show compared to the usual domestic violence show, but I think that there's a definite tie-in, because if children are abused, if spouses are abused, if there's any abuse, you know that the animal too is going to be abused. Thank you so much, and all the best with your opening, and hopefully we'll see you soon. Bye.
Thanks, Susan. My pleasure. Bye.